Rebecca Pomroy was a nurse during the Civil War. She was a nurse to Abraham Lincoln's son Tad, helped Mrs. Lincoln deal with the stress of the loss of her son Willie, and took care of Civil War soldiers who were wounded from battle. Rebecca was a very skilled nurse and was recommended by Dorothea Dix, who was the superintendent of the Army nurses during the Civil War, to go and help the Lincolns. Being a Civil War nurse was truly one of the hardest jobs ever. Many times the women started with no training, and walked into a room with piles of limbs that were cut off by doctors, people screaming and slowly dying. There was no modern pain medicine to give to people when they were being amputated. The nurses had to put on a brave face and help these, in many instances, boys, who had not only had to suffer battle but also these now grievous wounds. And the nurses had to do all this and suffer as well, and put on a brave face and comfort others, while they indeed needed comforting as well. But they had a job to do, and their courage saved many lives. Before Rebecca became a nurse to the Lincolns, she had faced personal heartbreak. She had 2 children and her husband died. She had one remaining son who was currently in the Army, and seeing what she saw on a daily basis, she knew what fate most likely awaited him. But Rebecca tried to help Mrs. Lincoln through the death of Willie Lincoln, and helped Tad Lincoln recover from typhoid. She grew close to the Lincolns. President Lincoln would even travel with her to the hospital where she worked with wounded soldiers so he could greet them. To see how dedicated Rebecca Pomroy was to her job, she wrote down that rather than being at the White House, but let me be found sitting at the bed of the poor soldier, wetting his parched lips, closing the dying eyes, and wiping the cold sweat from his brow, rather than be in Mrs. Lincoln's place with all her honors. Between the years when Rebecca was 19 to 24 years old, she buried 2 sons and her husband. Rebecca Pomroy had reason to despair. She had a reason to sulk and feel sorry for herself. No one would have blamed her. But she chose a path of service. She saw her own suffering, and thought that she could help others with their suffering. Every single day must have been hard for her, to wake up alone, a son at war, the rest of her family dead, to then knowing having to go and comfort men who are in the hospital and may not make it themselves, is truly a testament to her character and fortitude. Rebecca truly changed the world. By helping those soldiers, helping the Lincolns, she made the world a better place. When tragedy or hardship strikes you and your family, which it will, remember there is always someone else who needs your help. A great way to move forward is to constantly be of service to your fellow man, to find new meaning and purpose in your life through service. To know that if you are still here on earth, you have more to give, you have more to do, and your story is not over yet. The people who you lost would not want to see you despair. They would not want to see you turn to drugs or alcohol. The people you lost would want to see you try and help the most people possible, to be someone they can be proud of. This is all a lot easier said than done, that is a fact. But we can look to people like Rebecca Pomroy who came before us and did it, which is an example of if she can do it, you can do it. It's possible. Being of service to others during a loss or hard time will be the most courageous thing you do in your life, and you will need to make that courageous choice every day. I'm rooting for you.